Tonight, help arrives in Newfoundland and Labrador. Canadian forces touch down in St. John's. Not a moment too soon.
Food's starting to run out, wood's starting to run out.
The rush to get supplies with more snow starting to fall.
I'm telling you, it's going to be something else.
And we hear from the family of a man who went missing at the height of the storm. Also tonight, Prince Harry breaks his silence.
I want you to hear the truth from me.
The Duke of Sussex on stepping back and his new life with Meghan.
They didn't follow a good capitalist model. They followed greed.
And laying the blame for Boeing's deadly 737 MAX problems. The Fifth Estate presents an insider's perspective on how it all played out. This is The National. Tonight, parts of Newfoundland and Labrador are getting something they really don't need: more snow. Up to 20 centimeters in areas still buried by Friday's blizzard. But cleanup help is arriving. As people dig out of their homes and cars, hundreds of military personnel are being moved into the area. A state of emergency remains in effect in St. John's, and outside the capital there is worry as the search continues for a man who went missing during the storm. Power is being restored to thousands who were left in the dark, and as Chris O'Neill Yates tells us, while people were still advised to stay home today, gas stations and pharmacies were allowed to open so people could buy critical supplies.
Day 2 of the big dig out, and there's just nowhere left to put the snow. Today, lineups at gas stations all over St. John's.
I ran out of gas for my snowblower, and so I'm picking up gas for the neighborhood.
Inside, there's a mini-mart. People lined up hoping to get food.
I'm just trying to get some essentials, some milk and some bread and stuff like that, because I don't know how long it's going to be, this is going to last.
The way I figure is they're not going to ship anything on the island for a while. So we're going to run low. Everybody's going to run low. And come next week, we're going to have a problem, I'd say.
At another outlet, tempers flared when the owner closed the doors.
We've been here in the lineup for like 4 hours. People have kids who, are running out of things for their kids. Might need milk or something for breakfast. But I just seen about 30 people coming out with beer.
People are running low on lots of items. This woman is grateful a pharmacist sold her essentials for her granddaughter. Pharmacies were only allowed to sell medication.
Well, she said she may get in trouble, but, I can't see why they should get in trouble. I have a little baby that's in need, and only for her right now. She wouldn't have her milk or her diapers.
City snow clearing crews have been working around the clock, but they're just getting to some of these city streets.
Neighbors are coming together to begin a long cleanup process, with many finding alternate ways to get around. And kids are making the most of it. Sarah Sexton was picking up essentials and decided to check her lottery ticket too.
And I thought if I won $5 million, I'd take my mother and I'd go somewhere warm for a little bit, as soon as I could get out of here, if I could. Yes, $5 million, that's good, right?
But it's going to take more than luck to clean up all this.
So, Chris, all this work on the cleanup, but as we can see, there's more snow falling now.
Oh, Ian, there sure is. In this part of Newfoundland, 15 to 20 centimeters of snow, depending on where you live. If you live in the St. John's area, this is supposed to turn to mist overnight. So how crews are going to get this cleaned up while it keeps coming down is anyone's guess. The state of emergency in St. John's and surrounding areas, that continues. There'll be no government offices, post-secondary, secondary schools open tomorrow. Most hospital services are going to be shut. It's going to be a while before this city gets back to normal, Ian, and it's not even the end of January yet.
Wow, we feel for you. All right, Chris, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Now, crucial to getting back to normal as quickly as possible, all that military help that's now arriving in the area. The base in Gander is playing a big part, and that's where Adrian is tonight.
So this is the base. This is 9 Wings CFB Gander. Gander's a bit inland, so it wasn't as hard hit in that wicked storm. The snow you see coming down now is part of about 25 centimeters expected here overnight, which really in this province at this moment is as insignificant as the change in your couch. The airport here in Gander has been open to commercial flights. That is not the case for St. John's. It is being reserved for military and medevac purposes.
Today was challenging. There's a lot of moving parts. We're dealing with folks all across Canada. You know, the energy and effort that's required to make aircraft move, to make people move between places is quite significant.
It's also important to know that this base here in Gander is where the Cormorant helicopter and crew are based that have been taking part in the search for that missing man, 26-year-old Josh Wall, who has been missing for a few days now, has everyone in this province extremely worried. As for us, we are heading east tomorrow to check out some of the communities along the coast that were affected by not just the snow, but those powerful storm surges. We'll get as close to the suburbs of St. John's as we can, safely and legally, and get to more of the stories of the people of this province and that city in particular, who are all wishing this will just end.
So an hour outside of St. John's, the frantic search for that missing man that Adrian just mentioned. Josh Wall went out into the blizzard on Friday and he hasn't been seen since. Kayla Hounsell was there today as rescue crews and his family set out on a desperate hunt.
All right, 10-4.
Their task is incredibly challenging, but they are determined to cover every inch of the rural, rugged terrain. They're using snowshoes, snowmobiles, and helicopters.
My son is out there somewhere. He's most likely cold. Hopefully he's hung up into a shelter.
26-year-old Josh Wall left home in the middle of Friday's blizzard. His father says he lives with anxiety and wasn't taking his medication when he insisted on walking to a friend's house. His last contact was via text message. What was the last thing that he sent?
The last thing that he had sent was his location, which is indicated here by the ping, and it says phone is on 1 and I lost here.
Lost in the woods with towering snowdrifts. The RCMP and Josh's family tried to search for him during the height of the storm, but it was just too fierce.
This is probably the hardest weather conditions we've faced in doing this type of search.
So we almost got lost ourselves, only being about a couple of hundred feet away from the home. So we had to come back, and knowing he was out there at that particular time was hard.
Today he discovered all of his son's winter coats at home. One witness believes she saw Josh on the main road. The RCMP say this remains very much a search and rescue operation. They're asking the public to look in sheds and campers. Crews targeted this scrapyard, desperately hoping Wall could be inside, alive.
Negative.
And now, as darkness falls, the ground search has wrapped up for another day. Volunteers are hoping to be back tomorrow, but with more bad weather on the way, it's unclear when they might be able to start searching again. Kayla Hounsell, CBC News, Roach's Line, Newfoundland.
And throughout this emergency across the region, there have been remarkable examples of communities rallying. Anita Bath has been talking to people trapped by the storm. And Anita, you've been saying that the level of generosity is moving.
Ian, you know, anytime you cover a story like this, whether it's wildfires or storms, people always come together to help their neighbors, and this is no different. The compassion has prevented people in Newfoundland from starving. It's prevented people from breaking down emotionally.
I was afraid that I wasn't going to get out.
Trapped inside by 8 feet of snow.
The only thing that I was thinking that I could try to do is get a bucket and just start putting it in the bathtub.
Then a miracle. Someone climbed up that giant snowbank and offered to dig.
I didn't know that people could be that nice to be willing to do that and not expect anything in return. That's my pathway.
Tunnel after tunnel, all shoveled out by strangers.
They were there at least a couple of hours just helping us dig out. I literally had to punch my way through the snow just to get through.
And for some, stuck at work for 56 hours.
When I came home to find that my driveway was plowed by a relative and my walkway was cleared by a neighbor.
So impressive. Anita, you've been speaking to a lot of people on the computer or on the phone. Tell us more about how they're doing.
It's really emotional. Everyone I spoke with had to fight back tears for a number of reasons. I spoke with Nicole, who has 3 kids, and she was one of the people who had their paths cleared by neighbors. But before that, her family almost ran out of food. She said, though, she would have done anything to make sure her kids were safe.
This is all we had left for bread. There's a 4-year-old, an 11-year-old, and a 1-year-old. Okay, and there's also 2 adults. And my husband has diabetes. It's just, to the point where I wasn't going to eat anything. I was just going to leave the food for the kids. You know what I mean? And like, that's what you have to do in a situation like this. If it wasn't for those 2 people, but I don't know where I would be right now. Let alone my children, for that matter.
And Ian, that fear isn't going away, even though this next snowfall isn't supposed to be as bad. There is more fear that people will become trapped again.
Well, a nice reminder of some of the things at stake there. Anita, thank you very much. So we've shown you pictures and you've heard lots of information about what's been going on, but man, take a look at the numbers. Now, these are from Environment Canada. Snowfall totals for the blizzard. Mount Pearl tops the list with 93 centimeters of snow, just over 3 feet. Paradise, 91. St. John's, right around 80 centimeters. The other part of the story, hurricane-force winds. In Bonavista, Vista, they topped out at 164 kilometers an hour. Greats Cove just below that. And in St. John's, during the storm, it got as high as 130 kilometers an hour. Well, the snow emergency is a priority for the Trudeau government, but they have other things on their minds too, including access to the black boxes from the Ukrainian airliner that crashed in Iran with 57 Canadians on board. It's believed those recorders are still in Iran, but it's not clear if they'll be released. The subject came up at the start of the Liberal cabinet's 3-day retreat in Winnipeg, and our David Cochrane is there.
Justin Trudeau built this cabinet to deal with the domestic tensions revealed during the election. But the downing of Flight 752 has put international tensions front and center.
Iran has a path to choose. Either they go to the path of transparency, accountability, and taking full responsibility. When you say to the world you take full responsibility, that comes with consequences.
Canada's foreign minister is just back from the Middle East, where he met with his Iranian counterpart, pushing for cooperation on the repatriation and burial of remains, insisting the black boxes be turned over to reliable allies.
The wish of Canada, the wish of the coordination group would be that the black box be sent quickly, either to Ukraine or to France.
Iran has dominated the government's focus since the crash. This retreat in Winnipeg is about focusing on the Liberal political agenda.
To be perfectly honest, my sense is we're planning the upcoming session, the parliamentary session.
That begins in a week, the first extended parliamentary session for a minority government that needs support from across the aisle to advance legislation and pass a budget.
We obviously had an election campaign where we talked about the importance of dealing with climate change, where we talked about the importance of affordability for Canadians and the anxiety that they're faced with as they raise their families. We will now move forward with some of those initiatives.
But moving forward isn't going to be easy in a minority parliament. Every year, Morneau consults with ordinary Canadians to ask them what they want to see in his budget. This year, he has to negotiate directly with the opposition and ask them the same question. David Cochrane, CBC News, Winnipeg.
For the first time in more than 2 decades, all of Ontario's teachers' unions have combined forces to fight plans for wage freezes, higher class sizes, and mandatory online education. The series of rotating one-day strikes begin on Monday with elementary schools here. Many high schools join in on Tuesday, along with more elementary schools, and more again on Wednesday, on Thursday, and Friday. By the end of the week, many of the province's 2 million students will have felt the impact, and so will their families. That story from Shannon Martin.
There may be no school tomorrow, but these kids and their parents will be there when the morning bell rings, on the picket line with a message.
I hope the teachers see that we support them and also that we know that their action is for our children.
Community centers are setting up day camps that normally run over spring and summer holidays. This Toronto mom is helping organize a low-cost pop-up camp in her neighborhood for parents who can't afford to miss work.
The cuts that have been proposed and are in place are harming all of us, and so it's important for us to work together in collaboration to push back.
The Elementary Teachers Federation of Ontario says after weeks without talks, it was left no choice but to begin one-day rotating strikes at elementary schools, something some high school teachers have already been doing. Ontario's premier says the sticking point is salaries. He wants to limit public sector wage increases to 1% annually.
If I came out tomorrow and said, we're going to give them another 1%, I'd be all done. But we can't do that. We don't have the $750 million.
We've seen a lot of finger pointing between the government and the unions. What are the big issues as you see them?
The big issues are the best learning experiences that our kids get. So that means class sizes that are capped and small.
We've already lost a special needs assistant in the building, and our students are suffering because of that.
These parents want both sides back at the table and no more cuts. But with no talks planned, they may be making more of these soon. Shannon Martin, CBC News, Toronto.
Washington's gearing up for a showdown of a different kind. President Donald Trump's impeachment trial gets underway on Tuesday. As Paul Hunter tells us, the sparring continues over new evidence.
In the seemingly never-ending battling over the impeachment of Donald Trump, it's the final showdown, at least presumably. As Democrats frame it,
the facts are uncontested and the evidence is overwhelming. Donald Trump pressured a foreign government to target an American citizen for political and personal gain.
Unsurprisingly, Republicans insist Trump himself is unworried.
He is very much comfortable with the idea this is going to turn out well for him.
Trump may have been impeached by the House of Representatives, but starting Tuesday, it falls to senators to begin deciding whether he should in turn be removed from office. Truth is, as Democrats finessed their arguments on that today, few expect Republicans who control the Senate will actually end the Trump presidency. But there's a tantalizing wild card, the possibility of fresh witnesses, be it Trump's former national security advisor John Bolton, who now says he'll testify if subpoenaed, or Lev Parnas, associate of Trump lawyer Rudy Giuliani, now offering new revelations on Trump's activities.
They want the Senate to redo their homework and rerun the investigation.
The question is whether Republicans will agree to any witness testimony at all. Most oppose it.
This isn't the Senate's responsibility to make the case. This is the House's responsibility under the Constitution, and the Senate's supposed to decide the case sitting as a court of impeachment.
Say Democrats, there's too much at stake.
This whole controversy about whether there should be witnesses is really a question of, does the Senate want to have a fair trial, or are they part of the cover-up of the president?
Trump's lawyers have made his position clear. The charges against him, they say, are brazen and reckless. He's done no wrong. Their expectation, Republicans will back him on that. Paul Hunter, CBC News, Washington.
Other stories we're watching tonight include the fatal shooting of 2 police officers in Honolulu.
It's just been a horrible thing to see.
They were gunned down responding to an assault call. Local media allege the suspect, who was being evicted, stabbed his landlord, then set his house on fire. It spread to 4 other homes. The suspect is believed to have died in the blaze. China is reporting a big increase in pneumonia caused by a new coronavirus. The total number of cases has topped 200, most of them in the central city of Wuhan. At least 3 people have died. China is stepping up efforts to contain the outbreak, especially with hundreds of millions set to travel for the Lunar New Year. This week, our Go Public team is looking at complaints about Canada's 911 system. In case of an emergency, millions of us rely on it, assuming someone will answer quickly. But that didn't happen for an Ontario man when he called about a suspected drunk driver. Here's Rosa Marcatelli.
All our 911 call takers are still busy at this time.
So busy, Sam Gill's emergency call was left on hold for 6 minutes.
911, pick up.
Despite clear standards that say 911 calls should be answered within the first 20 seconds.
Every second, I am thinking, oh my God, somebody's going to die.
911.
By the time an operator answered and police arrived, the driver had crashed into another snowbank and passed out behind the wheel with his vehicle still in drive, Gill says. His friend Paul Bambihere was in the passenger seat.
We are really concerned, and on the other side, we were feeling helpless.
Helena Shepard-Snyder couldn't reach 911 either when her husband was having a heart attack a few years ago. She got a recording saying the number was not in service and to call the operator, then had to convince the operator to call for her. She credits paramedics with saving her husband's life despite the delay.
Oh, I felt so helpless. I just felt like, where else can I go? What can I do?
911, if you need police, fire, and ambulance.
Canadians make an estimated 9 million calls to 911 every year, according to the CRTC. The system is outdated, underfunded, and in desperate need of an overhaul. The issues worse in some parts of the country than others, says this emergency call expert.
Until we have some form of political will that is willing to make these hard choices to put safety first, it's just not. I don't see it happening.
One of the biggest problems, she says, is 911 services across the country use 50-year-old technology, making it really difficult to locate anyone calling using one of these. In March, the CRTC set mandatory deadlines for improving 911 service, and part of that is upgrading that really old technology analog to digital. The deadline for that is June 2023. In Gil's case, the police force says when he called and needed help that night, it was swamped with 911 calls. In Shepard-Snyder's case, the municipality says next time she has an emergency, she has to call fire, ambulance, or police separately using 3 separate phone numbers. Rosa Marcatelli, CBC News, Calgary.
Remember, our Go Public stories come from you, so if you have a tip for Rosa and the team to investigate, send an email to gopublic@cbc.ca. We have more news ahead on The National. Harry breaks his silence on no longer being His Royal Highness.
It brings me great sadness that it has come to this.
Plus, will anyone be held responsible for the Boeing 737 MAX?
You're literally trying to wrestle the airplane. At a certain point, it would be like trying to move a wall.
Boeing insiders share their stories with the Fifth Estate.
Little space, please.
And Meng Wanzhou's extradition fight goes to court tomorrow. What you need to know about the case against the Huawei executive. All that still to come tonight. After revealing his intention to step back and triggering a crisis for the royal family, Prince Harry spoke out today.
It brings me great sadness that it has come to this. It was so many months of talks after so many years of challenges. And I know I haven't always gotten it right, but as far as this goes, there really was no other option.
After days of speculation about what stepping back really means, the Queen has announced Harry and Meghan will drop the vaunted titles of His and Her Royal Highness. They're free from royal duties, but cut off from the royal purse. Renee Filipponi has what we know about an unprecedented arrangement.
I know that I'm in love with this girl. And
In a sit-down interview, a little more than 2 years ago, the newly engaged couple were eager.
Both of us have passions for wanting to make change.
But Meghan admitted she was naive about the royal spotlight.
I did not have any understanding of just what it would be like.
And in the end, it was clearly too much. The Sussexes are giving up their royal titles, official roles, and the money that comes with it. A personal statement from the Queen says after months of conversations, they have found a constructive and supportive way to move forward. Recognizing the couple has faced intense scrutiny over the last 2 years, she says they will remain much loved members of my family.
They have got ultimately most of what they wanted, which is freedom. I think, it'll be a great loss to the royal family that they'll no longer be here much of the time, but there have been compromises on both sides.
Keeping to routine, the Queen attended Sunday church service with another prince who has been making headlines. Royal enthusiasts came to show support.
I feel really sorry for the Queen. It's a grandson and a great-grandson, but then I respect it's their wishes.
As long as we're not paying for the lifestyle they hoping to live, then I don't have a problem with that.
We have all made sacrifices and suppressed who we are.
Netflix, the company behind The Crown, has expressed interest in working with the pair. Harry has already teamed up with Oprah on a mental health documentary, and there are reports Meghan may work with Disney.
We're going to see them in that kind of media, potentially commercial space, and that will be a source of some anxiety for Buckingham Palace, that they don't really dine out and sell out in terms of the royal brand.
But it's still unclear who will pay the multi-million-dollar security bill. The palace won't comment, but says there is an independent, well-established process that will determine the need for taxpayer-funded security. Renee Filipponi, CBC News, London.
Time for a quick break, and when we come back, a fifth estate investigation into the Boeing 737 MAX. Will anyone be held responsible?
They didn't follow a good capitalist model. They followed greed.
Insiders share their stories next on The National. This week, Boeing's new CEO, David Calhoun, officially came into his role, but he faces a challenging road ahead to regain the public's trust. Both the Lion Air and Ethiopian Airlines Boeing 737 MAX plane crashes and concerns over a lack of safety oversight have increased the scrutiny and the questions surrounding the company. Tonight, the Fifth Estate presents a special look into the inner workings at Boeing. Who knew what in advance about the problems that led to those tragic plane crashes, and whether anyone will ever be held responsible? Terrence McKenna investigates.
Cradle me, I'll cradle you.
This is the story of Danielle Moore, a 24-year-old marine biologist from Scarborough, Ontario, and her parents Clarice and Chris.
Just for your eyes.
Danielle is such a good kid.
I'll be yours and you'll be.
After working all over Canada on environmental issues, Danielle was invited to a UN conference last March in Nairobi, Kenya. She connected in Addis Ababa onto Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302.
The phone rang at 6 o'clock here in the morning. They said, it's about Danielle. They said the plane crashed, and
Clarisse just screamed out, Danielle's dead. That minute, I knew I was dead. I was just, forever. Everything's changed.
The plane crashed into a field about 30 miles from the airport. It hit the ground at over 500 miles per hour. There were immediate comparisons to another Boeing 737 MAX flight that crashed in Indonesia just over 4 months earlier. Both planes crashed because of a flight control system called MCAS, the Maneuvering Characteristics Augmentation System, which was designed to push the aircraft nose down in the event of a stall. The existence of the MCAS system was concealed from pilots, part of an effort to save airlines money on pilot training. We asked 2 American Airlines pilots to come to a Boeing 737 simulator to make a detailed assessment of what the pilots faced in the minutes leading up to the crashes. Captains Dennis Tager and Jason Goldberg have been flying 737s for many years. Lion Air Flight 610 took off from runway 25 of the Jakarta airport at 6:20 on the morning of October 29, 2018. There were 189 people on board.
So at the very first step of the flight, once they lifted off the ground, they had an immediate stick shaker, and it would be on the captain's side. This would be going off continuously. This is an indication to the pilot that the aircraft is about to stall and action is needed. This would not stop.
2 minutes into the flight, the plane banked left to follow the assigned course.
Banking.
Another alarm went off in the cabin, indicating they were turning too sharply.
Airspeed, low.
That is the startle factor, the tsunami that's hitting the pilot. And he hasn't even gotten to this beast known as MCAS.
10 seconds later, the captain requested the first officer to partially retract the flaps.
When the flaps came up is when a monster came out of the cage.
The retraction of the flaps would trigger the MCAS system. The system was misreading data from a faulty angle of attack sensor mounted on the exterior of the aircraft nose. MCAS would move the horizontal portion of the tail to push the plane nose down.
So this MCAS system would run for 10 seconds and take 5 seconds off. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, bang. And then it comes in with its 10-second run back down.
The Lion Air pilots pulled back their control columns as the plane began to dive.
You're literally trying to wrestle the airplane. At a certain point, it would be like trying to move a wall.
In the last minute of the Lion Air flight, the dive became unrecoverable. At the end of October in Washington, D.C., crash victims' relatives arrived to see Boeing CEO Dennis Muilenburg testify before a congressional committee and answer some tough questions about the 737 MAX crashes.
The biggest question in my mind is why didn't you ground the plane after the first accident?
We've asked ourselves that question many times, and if we knew back then what we know now, we would have grounded right after the first accident.
But it turns out Boeing did know back then most of what it knows now. This Boeing internal document showed that in June 2018, 4 months before the first crash, Boeing engineers warned that pilots would have only 4 seconds to see MCAS was triggered by mistake and only 10 seconds to correct it, otherwise there would be a catastrophic crash.
When pilots learn that information that is of a critical safety system is not released to us, then we get very disturbed by it.
Newest arrival in the Boeing family of airliners, the 737 attracts a crowd.
At one time, Boeing had a sterling reputation for safety, but many present and former employees say that began to change when the company was amalgamated with the McDonnell Douglas Corporation in 1997. Longtime Boeing scientists Stan Sorcher and Cynthia Cole witnessed the compromise of safety.
The McDonnell Douglas managers were more cutthroat, and it was all about the bottom line, the financial, cut those costs. Their profits were more important.
In that business model, nobody ever says no. You're just going to follow the plan. That's the Walmart business model.
They didn't follow a good capitalist model. They followed greed.
The safety of these aircraft is supposed to be overseen during the manufacturing process by independent representatives of the FAA, the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration. In recent years, however, supposedly to save money and streamline the process, much of that oversight has been contracted out to personnel paid directly by Boeing. To many of the people who work here, that represents an obvious conflict of interests.
Well, the downside is someone can threaten your position at work. You can be, play ball or else. And the managers could say, you keep your mouth shut or you lose your job.
So it isn't just salary, it's your salary increase, it's your assignments. You could be reassigned to another thing. You could be replaced by somebody who is less capable of resisting pressure.
Relatives who have lost loved ones, if you could please stand so we could thank you all. Thank you for being here. If you could just stand. Mr. Muilenburg, as I watched those loved ones stand, my anger has only grown. These loved ones lost lives because of an accident that was not only preventable, but was the result of a pattern of deliberate concealment. Boeing came to my office shortly after these crashes and said they were the result of pilot error. Those pilots never had a chance. These loved ones never had a chance. They were in flying coffins as a result of Boeing deciding that it was going to conceal MCAS from the pilots.
Senator, if anything I can leave with you today, I want to reinforce the culture of safety at Boeing.
Dennis Muilenburg repeatedly emphasized his commitment to safety and the values he was taught as an Iowa farm boy.
Grown up on a farm in Iowa. My parents taught me the value of hard work and integrity.
At the conclusion of the hearings, the mother of one victim confronted the Boeing CEO.
Well, you talked about Iowa just like one too many times, and the whole group said, go back to the farm. Go back to Iowa. Do that. You're not the person anymore to solve the situation, but I want to say it to you directly because I don't think you understand what we're saying.
I respect that. I really do. In the end, it's about safety, and
Even if you're not capable of doing that.
I respect your inputs there. I just tell you, we are very focused on safety.
Boeing are capitalist extremists. They're right at the far end, and there's no safety that they're looking at. And it's just, I can't believe it. This is corporate manslaughter, you know?
I just learned that today, after the second crash, after the Ethiopian airline flight 8302, who killed our daughter, who murdered our daughter. He got a bonus. How would I feel?
There are doubts that Congress will do much to rein in Boeing, especially because the company spends millions of dollars lobbying politicians, including campaign contributions to many members of the House Transportation Committee.
Do you understand how the rest of the world thinks the whole system is broken? You know, Boeing's not telling the truth. The FAA seems to be out of the loop. The senators and congressmen seem to be on the pay of Boeing. The whole system seems broken.
Well, the system is broken right now because the FAA has to be changed in its culture. It has to end outsourcing, end a system that, in effect, puts the fox in charge of the hen house.
The system is not broken.
At hearings in December, the new FAA Administrator Stephen Dixon tried to defend the integrity of his organization. He had trouble explaining this internal study from December 2018, 3 months before the second crash, showing that the FAA estimated that if the MCAS was not fixed, the system would likely cause more than 15 crashes over the 45-year life of the 737 MAX fleet, causing almost 3,000 fatalities. At the time, that information was not shared with the airlines or the public.
Is the system broken? Oh, clearly it failed. The system, the certification system failed our pilots, it failed our passengers, and it failed the globe.
Recently released internal emails show many Boeing employees had lost faith in the 737 MAX long before the crashes. In 2017, one said the airplane was designed by clowns, supervised by monkeys. Dennis Muhlenberg was removed as Boeing CEO just before Christmas, and Boeing has now admitted that pilot training on the MAX would be a good idea after all. There is a U.S. Justice Department investigation of the company's interaction with the FAA, looking to see if there was criminal activity leading to the crashes. But many doubt that any Boeing executives will be prosecuted.
No. I think that all these people in these upper echelons are too related and too intertwined. I don't think they're going to find anything against one of their own. The problem with people have died. And for Boeing to pay a fine or to pay millions or whatever, where's the justice?
In late October, Clarice Moore traveled to Ethiopia to bring back her daughter's coffin and the partial remains that were identified.
I want to open up that coffin. I want to see her. I want to hug her. I want to smell her. I want to kiss her. I want to dance with her. I want to hear her voice.
When I'm gone, you're gonna miss me when I'm gone.
I just want to continue to be the voice of Danielle and bring awareness to the public. That way, this will never happen to them.
Gonna miss the way I walk, gonna miss the way you talk. Oh, you know you're gonna miss me when I'm gone.
You can watch Terence McKenna's full documentary, How Boeing Crashed, the inside story of the 737 MAX on GEM or on the Fifth Estate's YouTube page. Up next on The National, the extradition case that will be watched around the world. What you need to know before Huawei exec Meng Wanzhou goes to court tomorrow.
Monday.
What happened to you?
Science nerds aren't supposed to die like this.
When cutting-edge research kills.
That patent's worth money.
Millions. Follow the money, follow the rat.
Coroner, Monday, following Murdoch Mysteries on CBC and CBC Gem.
Of all of the people in Canada wearing GPS trackers around their ankles right now, there is one that has a huge international profile. That is Meng Wanzhou, the high-flying executive for the Huawei company. Well, tomorrow, after a year of being in limbo, her case finally begins, or at least the extradition hearing begins, at a courthouse here in Vancouver. So we thought this was a good opportunity to take a closer look at the case and why it's going forward. A brief appearance by Meng Wanzhou at the Vancouver courthouse Friday, watched by reporters from around the world, is just a taste of the intense interest in tomorrow's hearing. Just over a year after she was detained by border officials at the airport and put under virtual house arrest in one of her upscale Vancouver homes, the controversial question, the one a judge will soon decide, should the chief financial officer of China's biggest company be extradited to the United States? The Canadian government says the issue is straightforward. Since Meng is facing a fraud charge in the United States, the Prime Minister says Canada has a legal obligation to assist the United States.
We will ensure as a government and as a country that all the rules and the independence of our justice system is properly defended and properly supported.
But China sees it very differently, that the charges against Meng are not about the rule of law, but rather politics and business, an attempt to punish a formidable Chinese tech giant founded by her father. The U.S. president seemed to support that point of view when he said he would intervene in her case if it was, quote, good for trade and security. We asked Ian Young, a reporter for Hong Kong's South China Morning Post, about public opinion on the other side of the Pacific.
In China in particular, though, I think there's certainly the perception that this is a political prosecution and that Canada is acting at the behest of the United States.
And so, perhaps to put pressure on Ottawa, two Canadians, Michael Kovrig and Michael Spavor, were arrested and they sit in jail in China. Beijing's motivation, say the experts, beyond doubt.
Any question in your mind that that's retaliation?
No question.
Yves Tiebergen is a UBC professor who studies and frequently visits China. He says relations between the two countries are at an all-time low.
How does that make you feel?
It's great sadness and great sense of loss, because I see when I go to a lot of global summit, G20, WTO summit, climate change, Canada is held in high esteem by everyone, by people from developing countries as well as developed countries. And today, Canada's role is completely lost in many ways because we have a completely dysfunctional relation with China.
Meng Wanzhou speaks of sadness as well. In a blog post on the one-year anniversary of her arrest, she wrote of moments of fear, pain, disappointment, helplessness, torment, and struggle. But she also said, every time I appear in court, a crowd waits outside. Your passion and support have always warmed my heart. It appears she also has the support of some Canadian legal experts, like Gary Botting, who has written extensively on extradition. He says the Minister of Justice could stop this process at any time and should.
I think the minister will see that it's just not worth continuing the fight. No, we're not going to extradite. We're going to, she's free to go home.
Well, the Federal Justice Minister, David Lametti, was in our Vancouver newsroom on Friday, and I asked him, is there any scenario where he'd use that legal authority to stop the extradition? And he says he won't be taking any action until the court process is complete. We'll be right back. The Moment is up next. Well, we've heard a lot of people in Newfoundland and Labrador say it's the worst storm they've ever seen, but they also say it's bringing out the best in a lot of people. We've heard stories of communities coming together, strangers helping strangers. So tonight's moment is an act of gratitude, a thank you to the snowplow drivers of Pooch Cove.
We're actually pretty good. This is our street here, so it's actually not too bad considering. So of course we've been hit with a massive storm on Friday, and this morning I was thinking of the snowplow operators and our volunteer fire department who are like so dedicated to our community. And I just figured, well, why not give back and certainly teach my two boys and our neighbors' families the importance of kindness. And we did cookies, had some hot chocolate. The kids loved it. They were so appreciative. And again, it's a small gesture, but it was just something that they appreciated. It was an entire community, I guess, effort.
And we know that story is being repeated dozens, maybe hundreds of times throughout the St. John's area, the communities outside. And feel free to share those with us at CBC, my Twitter handle, at Ian Hannamansing, and we'll pass those on to our audience. Adrian Arsenault is going to be there with our crew tomorrow as we continue to cover this important story. That is The National for January the 19th. Good night.